So here is your qualitative research supercharged. Why do it? As the seminal Dan Ariely, double PhD, he's written a fantastic book called Predictably Irrational, a must-read for all of us. Individuals are honest only to the extent that suits them, including their desire to please others. Yes, of course, we're social animals. We tell people what they want to hear more than we're willing to admit it. Another quote which sums up the pitfalls of research for me so well, it's written by Belgian surrealist artist Rene Magritte. He creates some genuinely thought-provoking stuff in his time. And he writes, everything we see hides something else we want to see. Let's be honest, how often have we taken a survey response at face value, or the first piece of data that we've seen and optimised an ad campaign around it? Yeah, we get it, times 4, but we need to go deeper. We need a method to go deeper, and that's what I'm going to give you. So this would be a great time to take out those notepads if you got them. Why? You ever heard of the Hawthorne effect? If you haven't, Google it after the briefing, of course. There's 3 major obstacles that are explained by the Hawthorne effect. One of them is reactivity. In short, we behave differently when we know we're being researched. This is some of those cognitive biases that behavioural science helps us identify. Number 2, our ability to rationalise just about everything. As this image is depicting, I may eat chocolate because I like it and I eat it all the time and it has antioxidants and it makes me happy. Yeah, okay, that's probably true. But that's not the reason they picked it off the shelf. The answer is a line of reasoning that this person has followed to feel less guilty in themselves, not to trick you, but just to feel less guilty, feel better about ourselves. We're human. And thirdly, the ability to articulate. Now, this is an important one, right? Because, it's not easy to articulate when you're doing a survey real quick, like one of those ones that pops up on your Instagram, or you're in a focus group or on an interview with someone, whatever. Someone asks you quite a thought-provoking question. Answering that with a kid screaming and the dog barking, it's not easy. And if you're in a focus group, well, you're going to be influenced by the other people in there, whether you like it or not. So we need to understand that as a fact and recognize that the ability to articulate clear answers is difficult, and we need methods to deal with that. So what are they? You'd recognize this image. It's the famous ink block test. It's known as a projective technique, of which there's 42 projective techniques, but there's 3 that are really relevant for us marketers. First one, free association. Yes, this is the godfather, the grandfather of psychology, Sigmund Freud, who created this particular concept. I very much doubt he created it for marketers, but God, it works well. So the reason we've got these brand logos up here, a question that we may reasonably ask if we were a marketer or an agency on behalf of one of these brands is, what do you like about the last iPhone? Do you prefer McDonald's to Burger King? What's the last thing you bought at IKEA, etc.? Now, as we've discussed, the ability to articulate that answer, to answer it objectively, knowing that you're being interviewed, it's basically impossible. So what Sigmund Freud used is this free association, and the way that us as marketers use it is put a piece of stimuli in front of a person. Now, it could be a logo, but it doesn't have to be. If you're working on behalf of McDonald's, it could be the actual burgers itself. If you're Apple, it could be the iPhone. It could be just an image that is so obviously that particular brand. Whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is that we are putting that stimuli in front of them and shutting up and asking the person simply, what are the first words or feelings that come to mind when you look at that piece of stimuli? And that's it. Silence is the key at this point from us as interviewers. What we're doing is we're getting to the emotional parts of our brain. We don't want the rational parts. That's easy. And that's not why people buy things. We buy things based on deep-seated emotional reasons. And we need methods to access that. This is just one of them, free association. It's a key part of behavioural science for marketers. Number 2, the collage technique. This is really important if you're a creative type of brand or you've got a creative target audience. About 1 in 4 people are right brain. And so therefore they will think visually and often find it easier to visually communicate than audibly communicate. So you don't want to cut off 25% of your respondents. So if you're, and this one kind of needs to be done in person. But just rather than getting them to answer audibly for the challenges we've already looked at, get them to chop up different pieces of magazines, artwork that visually communicates the brand or answers the question. Allow them just a couple of minutes to do it, and then get them to look at everything they've chopped up and go, what do you see now? Tell me what you see. And that's really important because you need to have a shared agreement on what this thing means, on what their piece of visual communication means, so as to take a takeaway that's not influenced by our own cognitive biases and our own perception. Last but not least, my favorite, whether you're interested in behavioural science, behavioural economics, behavioural marketing or not, use this one every time. More than any other projective technique, it's used to elicit deep-seated feelings and opinions held by respondents that might be perceived as reflecting negatively upon us. Why? Well, us lovely humans attribute virtues to ourselves where we see vices in others. For example, nice, aren't we? When you ask someone why they might go on holiday to Mexico, the answer could be, well, I love the scenery. It's the opportunity to meet interesting people and learn about a different culture. Okay, sure. Couple of questions down your survey or later on in your interview, ask the same question with a very slight twist. Why would your neighbor go to Mexico? What's the difference in answers? Now, what have you done here? What you've done here is you've removed the individual, i.e. the first person, out of the equation. You're now speaking the third person. They are projecting, hence it's a projective technique. They are projecting the answer onto their neighbor or their brother or their sister or whatever you use, anyone that's not them, it doesn't matter. Now, we're not talking to the neighbor, we're talking to them. And now we're getting a truth that they may be unwilling to identify themselves with. It doesn't mean the first responses are inaccurate. It just allows you to go deeper and get to the core reason. Now click on your ad and make a conversion. Really important.